As was asked, the Wrestling Federation has responded to the Sports Ministry and have written a letter. This is basically a reply from Bhushan Singh himself, but via the federation that he's heading. What he has said, let's take a look one by one. He has said in that letter that the protesters should not be taken seriously, that they are acting in their own personal interest and they have their own vested interests at play. He's also called this a conspiracy to malign the federation and specifically the wrestling sport and him. But he's also added that these protests that are taking place and have now been called off, but the agitation that has been is against the future of wrestling in India. He's calling this a larger conspiracy and protest to dislodge the current federation management that he's heading now. But there are charges of misuse of power and authority, of harassment, mental, physical, sexual, and of corruption and misappropriation of funds, to which for sexual harassment he's specifically saying allegations are not accepted. These charges are malicious and unfounded. So that is a letter via the Federation and of Bhushan has been submitted. My colleague Rahul Rawat, who closely tracks the sports fraternity, is now joining me live here from the newsroom. Rahul, what happens next now? He's likely to step down, but he clearly, appears to be very confident and defiant. How do you see this panning out?
Well, Pooja, these are interesting few days. As you said earlier, the ministry has already made it clear that they've asked the Wrestling Federation of Chief, Mr. Bhushan to step aside, not to step down, but step aside, which means he will not be involved in day-to-day functioning of the federation. Now, tomorrow, the Wrestling Federation of India has called for an emergent meeting. Now, what happens in that emergent meeting? Will Bhushan chair that meeting as the president of Wrestling Federation of India, or will he not? Now, this meeting has been called to look into the entire matter as to why the wrestlers had to go for dharna. Now, also they are contemplating a disciplinary action because as we speak there is a national ranking tournament happening in Gonda where the management or some of the WFI officials are claiming that the protesting wrestlers are asking other fellow wrestlers not to participate in that tournament. So they are contemplating...
And regarding that also, Rahul, in his own letter, I find something very interesting. He's referring to the federation elections. He's saying this is a Haryana cadre or Haryana group of wrestlers who are leading this campaign. So there could be, and are you looking at more layers that could surface in this allegations and protests that have broken out?
Well, Pooja, see, if this has been happening, whatever the athletes are alleging against the federation chief, if this has been happening and the athletes today they got that courage to stand before a man who they thought who was so powerful, there has to be some some motivation or backing from somebody. So that is exactly what the WFI is also claiming. So, and as far as Haryana cadre or people from Haryana, majority of the, because I was there with you in fact during one of those days when these athletes were protesting, I saw a few faces who were not just from Haryana, but there were other wrestlers from other states too. But majority, of course, were from Haryana. So that's an interesting bit. And also, in that letter that WFI has submitted before the sports ministry, it makes it very clear that they have a sexual harassment committee where the fifth name, interestingly, is of Sakshi Malik. And this was always there. If you go to the WFI website, it has the 5-member committee represented by a few members along with Sakshi Malik. And I'll just tell you
quickly,
Pooja, one more thing, that a few weeks ago, months ago, you would remember that there were sexual harassment charges against a few cycling coaches. And at that time, Sports Authority of India had organized a Zoom call with the female athletes of a lot of federations from various sports. And Sakshi Malik was also present during one of those Zoom calls. There also, she was asked, all these athletes were asked, she never said that anything of this sort has ever happened in wrestling. So these are a few points that WFI will come up with.
That these are very strong charges. Many of them may have found courage to finally speak about it, but there will have to be a fair and impartial investigation.
Absolutely.
And the athletes will have to prove these charges, because if they are not able to, then Bhushan Singh is coming back stronger. That also is something, because of the manner, to the status to which this has reached, this is going to be either one way or another.